Welcome, listeners. We had such an interesting conversation with Nelly. She took us through what it looks like to grow and foster a network when you're really introverted and would rather stay home with a book or a good show rather than go out and put yourself out there. But she talks about not only the importance, but also the ways in which you find yourself in community and giving back and really finding ways to connect with so many of the folks around you. It was a very nuanced conversation around ways in which we can do it well. She is a CEO of multiple companies, and so she talks about what she looks for in the folks that she hires. So don't miss today's episode. Welcome to the We Talk Careers podcast, brought to you by Women in ETFs. This is Christine Delano, and I'm thrilled you've joined us. If you're pursuing excellence in your own career or intrigued by the hustle required to make it to the top, this podcast is for you. This is season 6, and we are dropping in on leaders across the globe. We're going to learn how to balance, how to speak truth to power, and how to have fun doing it. So put aside that massive to-do list and let's get inspired. Nelly Mubashi is the co-founder and CEO of Northwest Asset Management and RIA Innovations, an institutional platform provider. Nelly is also the CEO of National Fiduciary Trust, a Washington state trust company. She has over 20 years of experience in the wealth management industry and was formerly a financial advisor at UBS Financial Services and Piper Jaffray. Nelly is also dedicated to helping the community. She serves on the board of directors for Plymouth Housing, a Washington state nonprofit dedicated to providing permanent, supportive housing to the homeless population. Additionally, Nelly is the chapter co-head for the Pacific Northwest Women in ETFs. Nelly holds a Chartered Retirement Plan Specialist designation from the College of Financial Planning and obtained a BA in Business Administration and Economics from Warren Wilson College and a Master of Science degree in Finance from Seattle University. Nelly also holds Series 7 and 66 FINRA licenses. She lives in Redmond, Washington with her husband and 2 kids. She enjoys travel, reading, and Zumba at the gym. Welcome, Nelly, to the We Talk Careers podcast. It is so good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me and thanks for inviting me. I know it's a pretty exclusive podcast and I'm excited to share ideas and talk to you.
I am really excited to hear some of your thoughts on the topic today. I think that a lot of us either feel like we're networkers or we're not, we're good at this or we're not. And so I really like that you're going to bring a bit of nuance to what it looks like to network and to expand our reach. But before we jump into that, you are sort of exactly on the opposite side of the coast of the United States than I am. You
I
are in
am.
Redmond, Washington. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I live in
So,
Redmond, which is about a few minutes away from Seattle. Our office is in Mercer Island, which is in between the suburbs and downtown Seattle. But I actually work remotely from home. So
do
I
you?
every day you'll find me at home in Redmond doing my work.
And have you always worked that way? Is that like a place
No.
of comfort for you?
No, so we actually had, a couple floors in the Mercer Island office. We had a big chunk of the building, but after the pandemic, everybody either moved away farther out or we actually started hiring people outside of the state. And so it didn't really make much sense to me to go into the office when I had to talk to someone in North Carolina or Idaho or whatever. So it just started happening more and more that I just started working from home and it just became more convenient. And also, traffic here in the state has gotten really bad. We have a lot of transfers from California and other states, and it's just impossible to get to the office sometimes. And I would just rather spend my time doing the work here at home, just working
Yeah.
remotely and just not having to deal with traffic.
So tell me a little bit about your setup at home. Did you always have a home office or did things change with the pandemic?
Things change now. This used to be a different setup, and we kind of decorated it, painted it, got some furniture for the office, and decided that I just needed a space where I could privately talk to clients and advisors and whoever calls me without having to, be interrupted by dogs or like the neighbor or something. So my office is all the way at the back of my house, facing the backyard, which is kind of like a forest, and it's pretty quiet and nice, and I like it. No
Oh, that's
traffic and
wonderful.
peaceful.
And do you have kids? Do they make noise?
Luckily, they're at school. Yes, I do have two kids, two boys. They're 12 and 14, almost 13, almost 15. And when they're here, they try to be quiet when they see that I'm in a meeting or on the phone or whatever. They're good kids.
Mm. We were just talking before we jumped into the show about UW and Seattle area. My husband went there for grad school, and right after we got married, we spent a few months there, like Capitol Hill area, kind of downtowny. It was super fun. We had such a good time house sitting and sort of play acting, or I was pretending to be a, Pacific Northwester for a few months. Really, really enjoyed the area. So many outdoor, beautiful places to go. We spent time on Whidbey Island and Mercer Island. And so, yeah, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous
It
area.
it's a beautiful place. I mean, I've actually lived in the East Coast, I've lived in the Midwest, and now I just settled in the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest specifically because it's just like there's just so much to do. And if you're into hiking, we have a lot of like great hiking places. There's lakes for water people who love the beach or whatever, and there's just so much to do. And the people here in the Pacific Northwest are kind of nice. They're really nice and they're calm. They don't really care about how you look. I know, like usually when I go to other states, people look pretty fancy, and that's kind of like
Mhm.
a running joke here in the Pacific Northwest that when there's an out of towner because they're wearing makeup and they're wearing high heels. When you can actually tell who is from the Pacific Northwest because you'll see them either in like sandals and socks or like a backpack, sweatshirts or something.
Oh, sandals and socks. So
Oh yes. Oh
my
yes.
kids make fun of my husband for this, but I guess that's where he got it. I've never known that.
That is where he got it.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. And everyone complains or thinks that it rains all the time out where you are. So tell us, what is the weather right now? We're in October when we're
Mhm.
recording this. So what does it look like right now?
Well, it's nice and sunny outside. There's no rain, but we usually
Mm.
don't say that to out of towners so that they can actually stay away because
Oh.
traffic. We don't want more
Oh.
people moving here.
Oh,
So we
I
just kind of
see.
keep
So it's
saying that. Yeah, it's
miserable
pretty.
out there,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's really
It's
really bad.
miserable.
There's thunder, cloudy all the time, and it's really cold. It snows a lot. Don't come.
Oh, excellent. Oh, Nelly, I like you. Yes, I get the point. I get the point. Well, and it's interesting that, with how people look. I know when we were in Maine, have lived in Maine for 20 some odd years, and my first, sort of real job in sort of high finance was out in San Diego, and I would commute there all the time, and people out there are beautiful. Like, they are
Hmm.
just beautiful people. I come back to Maine and I'm like, "Huh. Yeah, we're just natural out here."
We don't know what makeup is.
I
No.
know, exactly. It's like, occasionally, but, in San Diego, there's just beautiful people all the time. Like, where did all these beautiful people come from?
I noticed
Um,
there's a huge difference.
yes. So I think every area, I'm a little bit more comfortable in this, keep it real area that I live in right now. Although I do have beautiful friends. So anyone listening, you're all beautiful. So today we're talking, as I mentioned at the top of the show, a little bit about sort of why it's so important to have a network, why it's so important to create connections in so many of the industries that we work on, but so many of the industries even outside of finance, in order to not only grow what you're doing, opportunities in your own job now, but perhaps further opportunities that you don't even know that you need at the moment. Tell us a little bit about how you've gone about creating the network that you have.
Thank you. Great question. So I will admit that I wasn't always great, and I'm still not great. I'm a work in progress. I always thought that, you work hard, you study hard, you get all your certifications, and you'll be good. But then no one told me that I also had to get out there and talk to people and network and make friends. Well, I do have friends. Make connections so that you have, I guess, resources that you can talk to. And if you have questions about, something, that you can actually reach out to different people. It wasn't until much later in my career that I started noticing that that was a very important aspect of what I was doing. And I started making myself get out there, go to conferences, talk to people, reach out to different people in the area, create a network. And it started, I mean, it's a huge difference from back then when I thought that all I had to do was work and study. Because now, I mean, if I have, any kind of question, I mean, if I'm working on something at the company that I'm not too familiar with, I can just call, XYZ person and say, you've done this before. I know you've done this before. Can you talk to me about your experience? Can you refer me to someone that I can talk to? And it's been great. I mean, it's actually been eye-opening to realize that there's all these resources and people are willing to talk to you. Nobody has actually ever told me, no, I don't want to talk to you. Everybody's always willing and able to give me feedback, to answer my questions, and to refer me to someone who may be able to better answer questions for me. So I kind of regret not doing this early or earlier in my career, because I did not understand or did not realize that that was something that needed to be done. And I think it's kind of like a shortcoming for, professors or universities. I mean, I think that is something, maybe a class that need to be taught, or some sort of, part of the curriculum where you have to explain to students that it's not just about getting the GPA and graduating and then working hard to get promoted. It's also really about reaching out to your network. And I think and I've actually seen a change. I mean, I know that Seattle U, for example, locally, the UW, they're really good about creating events and bringing in people from the outside so that students can network. So I have seen changes happen. It just didn't happen before, where it was more really focused on academic and working. Now it's really, I think things are starting to change where universities are slowly picking up on the importance of having this skill, because it really is a skill, especially if you're an introvert like me. It's not something that comes naturally. I have to force myself to actively get out there, talk to people. I'm horrible at small talk. So I've actually had to teach myself to do that without sounding awkward. And my kids always laugh because they think I'm always awkward. Uh, and
Our kids are the best, right?
they
They're willing to tell us anything.
very honest feedback. Yes. But it is something I think that, any manager, any new up and coming person who is thinking that they will be in a management lead position, executive position, or even like entry level position. I mean, I think it makes a huge difference because you are in an industry where relationship management is crucial. And it is also about who you know. You don't have to know someone at the top. You just have to know someone who can actually help you get to what you need to get to.
Right. So take us through this. So let's pretend that you've got an event coming up pretty soon, an industry event. Maybe it's a Women in ETFs event and it's with a new partner. So you're walking in and Ramiro's not there. Um, some of your go-to people aren't there, and you're
Mhm.
walking into the room. There's maybe a cocktail hour. How do you do it if you don't see people right away that you know? How have you trained yourself to start the networking from zero?
Great question too. And again, it's not easy as an introverted person because your first instinct is to probably maybe go to the drink table and just grab something and just hang out and see, or wait until someone actually that you know comes through. But I actually, as I said, have been practicing and training myself to talk to people. So I go in and I look around and I try to join a group in the beginning and just insert myself into the conversation, share ideas, talk about my background if that's kind of like what's going on. But that's so far it's been my easiest approach. Just go in, join a group that's already, chatting. and just insert myself there. Plan B is to talk to the other loner person who may be in the corner and just kind of get them out of that loneliness, and then just start talking to them and see what they do, and talk about what I do, and ask them, if they've been there before, and just kind of start that conversation.
Right. I, everyone thinks that I'm an extrovert just because of the way that I show up for things. And I always sort of question the introvert extrovert just because of the way I think. I think extroverted, but I'm probably socially awkward on the inside, and I, constantly try to hide it. But I know that I go into events where I'm like, no one is talking to me. I think I'm the only one in the room that no one is talking to. And, like everybody has someone to talk to except for me. And it can really get into your head, right? It can really
It really
start to
does.
question you. And you're just like, I think I'm just going to go up to my room. Like I'm staying at this hotel. Like, I don't need to be down here.
It's
I
the
don't need to be
safest
doing
thing to
this.
do.
Yes, exactly. And
But
so,
you actually have to make yourself actually just stay, because it's actually happened to me before, where I have the same idea or the same reaction, where I don't feel very comfortable and I want to turn around. But then, maybe 20 minutes into it, when I actually force myself to talk to someone, I find them that they're really interesting and they have an interesting background, and we just kind of get talking about, the industry, or travel. I love traveling, and
mm,
that's something easy for me to actually connect with other people about, and get ideas about where they like to travel. And one of the things I would probably say is usually kind of like a common theme for me is I don't really, for whatever reason, travel that much within the US, and it's something that's been on my bucket list to do, like
mm,
go to Yellowstone and go
mm,
to the Grand Canyon and all these other places that I think would be nice to go. I just haven't ever been to. So, and usually people would be like, "Well, I've actually done this," and so we get started and talk about, "Well, what do you recommend doing there?" And then I actually have a running list of things that people have said that I would love to do. And so whenever I get on my bucket list, I will probably start checking that that
mm.
list off.
When life becomes not so busy, right? It's that
One
that
day.
that proverbial time in the future that we
One day. Yes.
yes, one day, the one day. So, and I want to talk more than just events, but one more question. So we're in this room. Everyone can kind of picture it, right? There's the bar, there's the high cocktail tables. People are, talking. You found your person or two
Mhm.
people. You recognize that you need to move on. You need to actually talk to somebody else and make sure you're making your rounds. How is it that you extract yourself from a conversation so you don't get sort of trapped with the original folks that you came in to start talking to?
That's a bit challenging because sometimes the conversations get really interesting, especially if they're talking about themselves, and they have an interesting story. So I will say I still that's a work in progress for me. But I mean, I would usually say, I am, you know part of this event, or I organized the event, or maybe if I'm just participating, I would just say, it was nice talking to you. Let me go and, meet other people, and maybe we can circle back if you're still, around, or something like
Great.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's very practical. And you had started talking a little bit about networking as a way to making sure that you've got enough resources in your life to be able to answer questions, you answer other people's, all of that. So, how is it that you, besides events, how is it that you assure that you are continually expanding your network?
By meeting friends of friends, or
Mm,
the coworker of the person that you usually talk to. That's how so far I've been expanding my network. So for example, I got a call, or an email actually, first followed by a call a few years ago, from Michelle Matthew, which is a local CEO of an RIA. I had never met her before. I know she knew my partner, Greg, and she talked to him a few times, but I had never met her in person or on the phone. And she just reached out to me and asked, we're looking for someone to be in this competition for Seattle Dances, for this nonprofit. They're raising money for homeless,
mm.
for for that, and we would love to have you. And I'm like, what? No. Me dancing? There's no way. So that was my first reaction. I said no. And then, we ended the conversation after, 10 or so minutes. And then she followed up and she said, well, think about it, and I'm happy to chat more about it. I've done it before. It's really fun. It's for a good cause, etc. So after like 2 weeks of waiting, I actually went back and said, okay, well, I'll consider it, and started asking questions about it. But bottom line is, she reached out to me first, even though I had never talked to her. And then she actually opened up this whole network of people that I never knew, other RIA leaders in the industry here locally. As of right now, we actually have a group of women CEOs in the area that meet quarterly. We're mentoring a team of like younger generation employees for each one of the companies. And so we kind of get together, talk about what's going on, share ideas, feedback, answer questions for these entry level staff members that are participating in the mentorship program. But it is a way for us to stay connected. And most of these I had never met before. Most of these CEO women, I mean, I've heard about them because yes, they're local, they're big companies, but I'd never had a chance to actually connect one on one. And
Mm.
so through Michelle, I actually got access to this other network, and now we actually have these quarterly meetings that we get together with. And actually I'm friends with some of the other CEOs as well, which wouldn't have happened if I didn't talk to Michelle. And
Right.
so it's just kind of like a snowball effect. Like you get introduced to a person, that person knows other people. Similar to Ramir. You talked about Ramir from State Street. He's, networking bee. He knows everybody. He's very extroverted. He's at all industry events, and he's very very vocal about what he likes and who he admires and all of that. And so he also introduced me to a whole other set of people. And through him, actually, I met this other wholesaler who invited me to be part of their advisory board. So I'm now on the American Funds Capital Group RA advisory board from that same networking, you know, I guess, venue. And it's just been, I mean, it's been a great experience because, I mean, again, these are not people that I would have met otherwise or I would have talked to otherwise because typically I avoid wholesalers, I avoid vendors, and it's just not something that I would go out of my way to do. But they're actually very nice people. They're very good people, and it just happened to get introduced to a via softer venue,
Mm.
or a person that actually knew them and knew me, who I trusted, and now I'm actually working with them as well.
I think it's great that you got asked to dance. And we've had a
I
few
knew you were going to ask
people.
about that.
Well, and we've had a few people on the show asked to do that, and and I always think, "Oh, that's great." I was just reading my mother-in-law's diary from when she was like 16 years old. It was incredible, like back in the 50s, and how many dances she went to. She's such a conservative woman, and I had no idea that these dances started at like 10 o'clock at night, and they were dancing all the time. And I'm like, it's so sad that our kids don't have these like, constant dances where it's just, I don't know, so much fun. But I think it's great. So did you actually do the dance? Did you go
I
and
did. It actually hit during the pandemic because I did it when we were actually coming out of the pandemic. And so I was wearing a mask. We did it remotely. Typically, this fundraising event is done in front of like hundreds of people, like 300, 400 people, which I was lucky enough not to do because, again, introvert here. So we actually did it behind cameras. I got a chance to do it, twice because the first time I messed up on something, so they gave me another chance to do it again. I had a mask on, and it was actually good. I mean, for my introverted self, that was the perfect
oh,
way
that's
to
great.
actually go about, doing the fundraising, participating
Right.
in the event, and showing up.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say I think we've had a few folks talk about dancing as a way of, sort of giving back as well as networking and things like that. But I had on a recent guest, and I'll put a link in the show notes to her episode, but she did boxing. So she got asked to be a boxer, and she ended up having to go into a ring
Oh my
and like
God.
punch some other woman who actually punched her too. And then it was like, and then the story is awesome. Everyone needs to go back if you missed her talking about angel investing too, but just that idea of like knowing what the bells mean with
Hmm.
boxing, and that she messed up, and it was like a kind of a big brouhaha about it. But I just thought, Wow. It's one thing to say yes to dancing. It's another thing to say, are you willing to go into a ring and get punched in the face? I'm
Not
like,
me.
no.
No. That's a little bit too far. But that's actually a pretty good idea. It's just
Yes.
hilarious. I not,
Yes.
not something I would do, but
Well, and I think about, she talked about all the people she met, all these
yes,
amazing people that came
yes.
out to support something like
Hmm.
that. And can you imagine all the people that are willing to go to an event like that because, they want to see if people are actually gonna
Right.
box.
Oh my God.
So I think some of that creative ways to sort of bring people together. And I also really enjoyed what you said in the beginning, which was no. Like your first reaction wasn't like hesitation or maybe I'll talk to my husband about it. Maybe I'll
No.
go talk about it with my kids. Just like no.
Well, can
Um,
you imagine dancing in front of like hundreds of people? I mean, and then getting judged because there's like
right.
three judges that are going to be telling you how you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like something like that would be easier for me to be judged on because I'm like, okay, so I'm not good at this. So, like, I'm not expecting to be judged well. But yes, I can imagine that would be extremely, extremely hard. Okay, so you're saying yes to things, you're getting introduced to people, you're taking the time to sort of make calls and continue to foster your network.
Right.
You're going to events. Is there anything else for maybe some of our folks that are maybe more introverted that you have found that's been really helpful for the care and feeding of your network?
Well, I mean, I think it's always scary to not know something. I mean, it was scary for me. I mean, I said no because it was scary for me to know that I was going to be in front of, hundreds of people dancing, making a
Mhm.
fool of myself there. So I would probably say, I mean, even if it's out of your comfort zone, try to keep an open mind because maybe you will actually be happy at the end. And if you don't like it, you can always, I mean, back out. I mean, it's not something that's life or death. It's just something that you can try. And if you don't agree or like it, then you can just say that. But at least you would have tried it out, met people, because even like the other dancers and the judges and everybody, I mean, it was a great experience. And I'm actually part of their board of that nonprofit board
Mm.
now. And so I still go to their yearly events where I see other people dancing, which is great because I'm not there. I can now I now get to judge people who are dancing. But yes, I mean, I think get out of your comfort zone, say yes to more things, find friends that will promote you, that will get you out there, that will help you get out of your comfort zone, that will introduce you to other people that, maybe will jive with how you are and just try. I mean, I think if you don't try, if you just say no and you're stuck in your ways and you just stay at home, nothing's going to happen. And maybe it's fine in the first few years, and if you are getting started and working hard, maybe it's fine. But I think you would be much better if you're working hard or studying hard and still opening up your network because you will have more opportunities, even maybe a better job offer or better, I guess, resources available out there. Because I think the more you talk to other people and the more connections you make, the easier it'll be for you to understand that maybe where you're at is maybe just your starting point, but maybe you want to do something else, and maybe this person can help you get there and coach you to understand what the position entails and get you there.
So, Nelly, you are CEO of multiple organizations. So, not only Northwest Asset Management, but
RIA
RIA
Innovations
Innovations,
and
and also a
National,
trust. Yeah.
yes, National Fiduciary Trust. Yes.
Yes. As well as on the advisory boards and boards of other nonprofit organizations. For a lot of people who are still in sort of the trenches of figuring out where their career is going and what they want to do, you have in some ways made it. What advice do you have beyond the networking piece, but just that idea of what are you looking for and what advice do you have for some of the folks coming up and saying, I would love to be able to be the CEO of my own company or
Mhm.
a successful financial company?
Great question. And my first, I guess, response, or the first thing that comes to my mind is don't give up. Because there were many, many times where things got really hard, very stressful, and I just said, maybe it'll be easier if I just find something else. Do something else and get out there and just find something where I have a checklist, I have expectations, I know what to do, and I don't really have to make all these decisions. And when things hit the fan, then I'm not the one trying to get things resolved, but I stuck to it. And I'm not saying that is, a walk in the park every day. I mean, there's still hard years and hard quarters, but it's manageable. We're a lot bigger now, so we have a lot more staff, and so I'm not doing all the busy work that I used to do when I was starting the company. I'm co-founder of the company, and so I did, go through the HR process. I mean, I actually was HR for the company for a while. I did compliance, I did operations. I mean, you name billing, you name it. So all these things that now we have specific people for, specific departments for, I've gone through that. I did trading in the asset management team, I did compliance, etc. So don't give up. I mean, I think it's easy, and I've seen that a lot. I think especially in the younger generation, they tend to hop around from job
Mm.
to job, and yes, it may give you maybe a better paycheck because maybe the new job offers you a little bit more and a better title. And eventually that may work. But if you don't stick around long enough for you to make a difference, you're always going to be hopping around from job to job and you're not really going to learn a lot. And I think a lot of what's happening, I guess, lately is that people just tend to jump around from jobs and they don't really, I guess, learn, I guess, the importance
Mm.
of loyalty, continuity, staying around, sticking around, putting in the work, and then just growing that way. And I'm not saying that if you are in a dead end job and you'll never grow, to stick it around, but to actually, I mean, if you see an opportunity where it is a job where you can actually get to, CEO, for example, or whatever, and you have that path, but you just have to kind of put in the work. Just make sure that you show that you're interested, that you're engaged, that you would want to actually be considered eventually for that position. And you're putting in all the work by learning the different aspects of the business and making sure that you're not complaining about, being stuck with making copies or printing
Mm.
something. Because I mean, I've done all that. I mean, I
Right.
printed stuff, I copied stuff. I mean, everything, basically everything. And it's not something that's ever beneath anyone because it is kind of building up your character, building up your experiences, and also building up your company in a way where, people know that you're willing to put in the work and that you're not above doing something. And people really appreciate that.
So many things packed into what you just said. So many folks come on this show and talk about people that have been instrumental in their careers. And often it's because they've had a chance to work with them over time. There's nothing that replaces that experience of seeing each other in, high stress situations, short deadlines, needing to sort of work together to get big hairy projects done. You
Yeah.
can't shortchange that. And if you are able to work together like that, then later on in other aspects of your career, those people will know of you that way, right? Yeah,
Yes.
they'll know that you're someone that can be relied upon. I also really agree with that idea of assuring that you are the one that says yes to so many of the things that just need to happen. If you have the opportunity to stay late nights to get this, whatever, maybe the presentation books together or the presentation just right, or proofread a whole bunch of stuff that no one else wants to do. But those are the things that people know that you can be relied upon. And
Hmm.
when the next project comes and they're figuring out who needs to be on it or who even needs to run certain aspects of it, they know that you're someone that will step up and will be relied upon. And they're not going to have to take such a big risk to think, well, will he or won't he, or will she or won't she? So I think those are such good things to keep in mind. They're hard though, because you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you just think, oh, I'm watching somebody else move more quickly, or watching someone else make more money, or I'm watching someone have this VP title and I don't have that title. So we live in such a comparison society. And what you said in the beginning about knowing that you're going through these hard times, knowing that there's moments that you want to quit, you want to walk away, but staying with it. Is there anything that helped you remember that? Did you write anything down? Did you speak to anyone? Was there anyone there that, helped you with the consciousness of sticking to it?
I'm generally a stubborn person, and my favorite quote is failure is not an option.
Right.
So I considered myself like if I actually quit and went and did something easier, that would be failure to me.
Hmm.
And it was not an option. And so I just stuck around and continued to work hard because I knew that it wasn't a dead end that I was, aiming for. That if I actually put in the work, that the company would do better, that we would continue to grow, and that the results would show eventually. And I just kept going.
Mm. I think that's really interesting. Some of the more introverted, kind people do have kind of like this really cool, I don't know, stubborn streak, whatever it is, but it's that thing that like basically says there's a lot that I'm willing to like, like, I don't need to go out in the party. I don't need the big spotlight. I don't need all that, but I need to know that I've been successful doing this. Like this was my choice and this is the path that I'm on. And I think there's this strength that sometimes it's not always evident if you're not boastful and out there, tooting your horn on all these things. But and stubborn's the wrong word, but it really is that sort of idea of being dedicated to something so that you find the success that you set out to do.
It really is. And yes, maybe stubborn is the wrong word. Maybe grit. Grit.
Yeah, grit. Okay. I like that.
But it is something that, I've always done that, with school,
Mm,
with work. It's not easy for me to just up and leave or, quit something midway. It's just not in my DNA. And it's worked out so far. No, not again, not just when things are going great, but also when things are going bad, especially when things are going bad. Just keep
right.
going, making sure that you're pulling through, or that you are actually working hard to achieve whatever goals you're trying to meet. But I think it's really that skill or that ability that I look for when I'm hiring someone as well. I mean,
Mm,
are they complacent? Do they actually have drive to become something else? Maybe apply for a higher position. Can they actually be, a manager or an ops manager, a CEO type of thing? And not everybody has to be like that, but it is something that probably say 95% of the time I'm looking
mm,
for in someone that I'm talking to. There'll probably be people who just want a job and to just do their work and go home and put in the 8 to 4 or 8 to 5, and that's okay. It's just not, who I am. and
right.
and I think having that dedication, and I'm not saying that you have to work overtime, working hard. I mean, it's really more about, do you look excited or do you seem excited about your job? Do you take on extra projects? Are you trying to learn from the experiences, and how do you understand the importance, for example, of doing a great job, or of making sure that clients are happy, that advisors are happy? It's more of that I'm looking for, instead of someone who's really just more chill and happy. Just
Right.
being, yeah.
Right. Yes, having that drive and being able to see it in the work that they've done. Ah,
Hmm.
so good. So good, Nelly.
Yes.
We get to this point in the show and it's been so fun talking through all of this. You mentioned in the beginning that you are a reader, and so I love to ask at the end if there's any book that you're reading now or have read recently that you think our listeners would appreciate.
So I've been trying to teach my kids the importance of understanding how money works, how to invest. So for the last few years, they've been investing. They actually open Roth IRAs, and I had them choose their own stock. Of course, they chose Roblox, which actually did pretty well. They bought it really cheap, and now it's doing better. But back to the point of which book, I'm actually reading Smart, Not Spoiled: The Seven Money Skills Kids Must Master Before Leaving the Nest, and the author is Chad Willardson. And I'm not done with it, but I mean, I'm finding it pretty interesting because it's kind of the same concept that I've been thinking about making sure that kids understand where money comes from, that they know that, giving to charity is important, that they understand how taxes work, that they understand how earning money works. And the book is it's really self-explanatory when it comes to it, but it's just a lot of schools and a lot of universities don't really teach students about finances, about money, and that's a huge disservice to our kids because I don't think they're spoiled, or maybe they are, but I don't think they are. But it's just that they don't understand. If they understood, they would know, exactly how to, handle, I guess, their day-to-day budget, and how not to overspend, how not to run into credit card debt, etc.
Mm,
And we're not doing that. And so this book
mm.
really talks about, how to approach your kids about these different concepts and make it easy in a way for them to understand. And so far, so good. Really love it.
Wonderful. I love it. I don't think we've had another recommendation like that. We will put it in the show notes and make sure that's available. Smart Not Spoiled. Is that the name of
Yes,
it?
Chad
I
Bullerson.
my kids are a bit older than yours, and we have done so much to try to help them understand money as a resource, not something to worship, and something to sort of respect and recognize its value in your life, what debt looks like, and I really think it's been fun as I've watched them make their own choices now as they've gotten older, and also how they interact with their friends who have different concepts of money, who all of a
Hmm.
sudden are buying these big cars on loans, and at very young ages, and leasing things, and making these choices that we'd been talking about for so long as maybe not the wise choice for what it looks like to give, what it looks like to save. So I love that, and that's not one that I've heard of, so thank you for that, Nelly.
No problem. I mean, I'll let you know when I'm done with it. And so
Great.
again, so far so good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your insights and your wisdom, and even your introverted self being willing to put your voice out there to all of our listeners.
Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the show, and I'll be listening, I guess, to do more of the podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, our listeners, for spending your time with us. I hope this is not just information, but you let it be transformational in how you think about your career. I'm rooting for you. If you're an Apple user, I'd really appreciate it if you took a few seconds to leave a rating and a review. Your ratings and reviews tell Apple that this is a podcast worth listening to. And in turn, your reviews will help We Talk Careers get in front of more listeners looking to succeed, just like you. And while you're there, go ahead and hit that follow button, because there's going to be another brand new episode and you don't want to miss it. Until then, keep thriving. Thank you for listening.